What's going on, you guys? My name is Hartley, and in this video I want to walk you through how I look at quarterly reports when they get issued by the companies. We are going to use Alibaba as an example because they just reported all of their financial statements. So in this video I'm going to walk you through how I feel about those specific financial statements, what ratios I'm using, what companies I'm comparing them to, and how I look at a quarterly report. If you get any value out of this video, remember to click that like and subscribe button. Let's jump right in. Okay, so this is the balance sheet here, and unfortunately they put it on two different pages. Now, when you want to find the balance sheet for the company as they put out that report, the best place to find it is usually going to be the company website or the regulatory agency. In Canada, it's called CDAR. In the US, it's called EDGAR. Type that into Google, look up financial statement. You should be able to find everything that you need. Now, this is the balance sheet for Alibaba. Like I said, it's in two pages. So we got the assets in the top left here, and we've got the liabilities kind of at the bottom and the top of this page, and then the shareholders' equity on the bottom right. Now, what I'm looking for when a company puts out a new balance sheet is I'm looking for any major changes, and I'm looking for how healthy is the company. So when I look for major changes, basically what I'm comparing is the old time period to the new time period. So this was March 31st of 2021, and this is June 30th of 2021, and I'm looking for major changes in any of these numbers. And as I look at this balance sheet, there's hardly any changes. The total current assets has hardly changed. Total assets is 1.6 compared to 1.7, hardly changed at all. Even the total current liabilities has only changed by about 9,000 here, which is less than 2 or 3%. Same thing on the total liabilities here, not a big change at all. And on the shareholders' equity, hardly anything has changed here either. And so when I look at this balance sheet, I go, okay, not major changes here. Well, how healthy is the company right now? And to determine that, what we want to do is evaluate their assets compared to their liabilities. And there's two main ratios that I use. The number one and the primary ratio that I use is the current ratio. This just compares the current assets to the current liabilities. And the reason that that is important is because it shows you how much cash do they have access to over the next little while, and how many bills are coming due over the next little while. And if they have more bills than they have cash that they have access to, that is a major problem. And so in the case of Alibaba, they have total current assets of 647 million RMB right here, and the total current liabilities is only 368 million RMB. That gives them a ratio of 1.75 times the assets to liabilities, and that is very healthy. Now, the total debts to total assets ratio is another method and another ratio that I like to use because it basically encompasses all of the debt and all of the assets that the company has. And so to get this, it's very simple. It's sort of the same math, except you're using the total assets and the total liabilities. So for us, it's 1.715 million RMB, and then the total liabilities is 596. That gives us a total debt to assets ratio of 2.85, which again is extremely healthy. So what this information tells me is that Alibaba as a company is definitely not going anywhere. They're not even close to bankruptcy. They're not close to defaulting on any debts. They have tons of cash and cash equivalents in the bank. They have tons of current assets. They're doing extremely well, and there is not very much risk of this company going belly up or this company going under anytime soon unless some type of black swan event happens. But as of right now, this balance sheet looks very similar to how it looked previously to this, and it also looks very healthy when you compare the assets to the liabilities. There's no major red flags. The only thing that I don't like to see on balance sheets is really goodwill and intangible assets. These are assets right here that will never actually be able to convert into cash, or more than likely won't be able to convert into cash. And so sometimes you can remove these from the equations, but in this scenario, they're actually not a huge portion of the total assets. They would make obviously a material impact, but it's nothing to be a huge worry about. It's not a red flag right now, but anytime you look at a company and you see the goodwill or the intangible assets where that makes up the majority of their overall assets, that is a major red flag, and you definitely want to be on the lookout for that. Okay, so now we've gone through the balance sheet and we understand that there's no major red flags there and the company's doing okay. Let's take a look at the income statement and see how the company is progressing over time. So this is the income statement here, and as you can see, for the 3 months ended June 30th of 2020, the company brought in 157 million RMB, and then for 2021, they brought in 205 million RMB. That represents an increase of 34%, which is absolutely phenomenal for a company this size that's $500 billion. They're growing their top line revenue by 34%. That is very, very impressive. That is very nice to see. And that is in my mind, that's a very good number. Now, some of the other numbers on this income statement don't look quite as good. In fact, they're going the other way. So this one right here, the income from operations actually declined by 11%. That is not very good. That basically means that the cost of goods sold and the expenses are increasing, and the amount of money that they're pulling out of that revenue is decreasing. So it is down. It decreased by 11% year over year. It is still a positive number. They're still bringing in $4.7 billion US in income from operations, but that number is down by 11% year over year for this quarter only. Now, the other important number here is the net income. This is how much money you'll walk away with at the end of the day as an owner of the company. And in this case, again, it was down by 8% year over year, which is not a great sign for the quarter. However, there were a couple of expenses that hit them this quarter that were one-time expenses, and we're going to dive into that real shortly. But what I want to dive into first is the income statement by different business segments, because Alibaba owns businesses in different kind of segments, or at least they have different business units underneath Alibaba, and I just want to break these down for you because this is fairly important. So the first business segment here is commerce, and this represented 180 million RMB out of the 205 million RMB. So this represented 87% of Alibaba's revenue today is e-commerce. This company is an e-commerce company that is focused on e-commerce and makes up 87% of their revenue. They do have other business models here, but the majority here is e-commerce. And the growth here is very, very impressive because in 2021, they brought in 180 million RMB in revenue from e-commerce. Compared to 2020, it was only 133. And that represents a 35% year over year increase. So the commerce side of their business is increasing dramatically fast. It's carrying most of the weight, and it's doing extremely well with regards to a top line number. Now, the thing that I don't like here is that the adjusted EBITDA is down. It used to be at 38%. It's currently at 25%. So that is definitely not a good sign. But the other things that are good here are that the cloud computing, digital media and entertainment, and the innovation initiatives are doing much better this year than they were compared to last year. So for instance, revenue is up in all three of the business categories, and in all three of the categories, they are coming closer to profitability, or they have become profitable, such as the cloud computing section of Alibaba. It is now officially profitable, or at least it was in this quarter, compared to a 9% loss in the quarter the year before. And so overall, the company top line revenue is growing exceedingly fast. They're doing extremely well. The other three business units are starting to come together and being closer and closer to profitability. Commerce is still the main factor for the business though, and the margins have declined while the revenue has increased. Now, when we look at the last statement here, this is the statement of cash flows. And as you can see, their free cash flow as a company actually declined very, very dramatically here for the quarter ended June 30th of 2021. It declined by almost 16 million RMB, and this was largely due to a one-time fine from the Chinese government. Now, this is definitely something that we need to dig into here because this is the X factor behind all of these Chinese companies. So Alibaba writes here that the year-over-year decreases were mainly due to the partial settlement in the amount of 1.4 million US dollars in anti-monopoly fine and a decrease in profit as a result of our investment in key strategic areas. And so they had to pay a $1.4 million fine as part of a anti-monopoly policy, basically. And on top of that, they're also investing more and more money into key strategic areas for growth. And so those are the reasons why the cash flow has declined. And if you can understand those reasons, if you agree with those reasons, then that probably makes up for it. Otherwise, this would have been a major, major red flag here, because if the cash flow declined this much due to business reasons and just operational reasons and lack of sales, that would be a major red flag. That would be a major concern. However, if the cash flow declined because of a major $1.4 million, hopefully one-time fine, as well as greater investment into growth, then that would be a reasonable explanation for the decline in free cash flow. Now, here are a couple of ratios that we need to start looking at, and since we're on free cash flow, let's just start with this one. So here is just my quick and simple math. You probably won't find these exact numbers anywhere else, but this is just the simple way to do it. So $3.2 billion in free cash flow, that's what they generated as of right here for the quarter ended June 30th of 2021. Now, if you add in that $1.4 billion fine back into their free cash flow as a one-time fee, That gives them free cash flow of about $4.8 billion per quarter. That puts them pretty much in line with where they have been over the last few quarters. So I think that's a reasonable assumption to make. Now, when you multiply that out by 4 quarters, that gives you $19.2 billion of free cash flow per year. Now, this company currently has a market cap of about $550 billion. And so when you divide these two numbers of 550 divided by 19.2, you get a price to free cash flow of about 28x, meaning that we are paying 28 times the free cash flow that the company is generating. Now, that is just a ratio for this company, but what we need to do is compare it to other companies in the space. And when you do that, I compared them to Amazon and Shopify using the same method here. And when I put in those numbers, it equates to about 130x for Amazon and 194x for Shopify. And when I do the math on that, it equates to about 130x multiple for Amazon and 194x for Shopify. Now, Amazon just had a very kind of negative quarter with regards to free cash flow. So this number is actually usually around 60 to 75 in here. But for the last quarter, it was 130 based on this methodology. And so you are going to see much higher numbers in the other competitors in the e-commerce space. And that could represent some value for Alibaba. Now, the next ratios that I want to look at are the price to earnings. And I just pulled these straight from Yahoo Finance because it was a little bit simpler to do the comparison. So here's Alibaba on the left, and you can see we have a trailing price to earnings of 24 and a forward price to earnings of 16.8. That is based on expectations. Now, if you compare those numbers to Amazon, Amazon is at least double or triple in both categories, and Shopify is at least 4 or 5x in both categories, including a 311 times forward price to earnings. And so when you look at the major players in e-commerce here, it's like Alibaba, Amazon, Shopify, maybe you put Tencent in there, maybe a couple other smaller companies, but I would say these are the 3 major players that are going to be really growing over time. And it's really tough to say that Alibaba is not undervalued right now compared to these other companies. When you look at the price to sales number as well, it's trading at less than the sales that they're bringing in for a year, whereas Amazon is 3.8 and Shopify is currently over 50x. And the price to book value is also much better compared to the other competitors. And so just comparing the companies and looking at the ratios, Alibaba is starting to show a whole lot more value. Now, the problem with Alibaba, and that you need to understand, is that Alibaba is located in China, and that government operates a whole lot differently than the governments here in North America. And so it can be a major risk factor because that government has already handed out a massive fine to Alibaba for $1.4 billion. Not to say that that can't happen again, but it's definitely a risk factor that you need to consider. There's also the chance that the Chinese government kind of slows down the growth of these major tech companies. It could be a major risk. Now, here are my final thoughts. Even with everything happening in China right now, with the crackdown coming and the fines that are coming on, the company is not in any financial trouble. Alibaba is not going anywhere. They're not going bankrupt. They have tons of cash. They're doing extremely well, and they're also generating money. Like, the company is profitable right now, and so the company is not in financial trouble. So anybody that says this company is just going to crash and it's going to demolish and it's going to go away, I don't think that is the case. However, I do agree that the Chinese government is the largest risk factor, and it does pose a large threat to the growth and the potential of Alibaba and of some of these Chinese tech companies to really accelerate, especially within China. Now, what I am very impressed by is the excellent revenue and the good growth that the company has seen. Growing by 34% as a $500 billion company is extremely, extremely good. They actually have a better growth rate than most of their competitors right now, and they're doing extremely well with regards to top line revenue. However, their profit margins have declined in the last quarter, so that is a red flag, and that is something that I would like to see corrected over the next 6 to 12 months. Now, my final thought here is that if you are looking to get into the e-commerce space and you're not worried about the China risk, then I think Alibaba and some of the Chinese companies represent really good value. If you do not want to invest in China and you're worried about the risk and you're worried about the government factors, then you should probably just stay away from it because it's just going to drive you nuts. Now, if you're interested in learning a little bit more about how to analyze these companies and read the financial statements just like we did in this video, then definitely consider signing up for my Stock Market Fundamentals course. It is completely free and it's hosted on Skillshare. When you sign up in the link in the description to this video, you'll get a 2-week free trial where you can sign up. You can take any course on the Skillshare platform, including mine, and my course is a 9-hour one that will walk you through step by step everything you need to know to get started in the stock market. There's over 7,000 students that have already taken the course. There's over 300 reviews for you to take a read through, and I promise you it'll be the best free resource that you can find online. The link is in the description to this video and it is hosted on Skillshare. Alright, now that's it for the video. If you guys got any value out of this video, remember to click that like and subscribe button. Thank you so much for watching to the end, and I will see you in the next one. Good luck trading, good luck investing, and we'll talk to you soon.